So Chip, you told me that you were going to tell me about the buttons at the top. What are those all about?
Sure. So we've been having a text conversation, and text conversation is great, chat is great, but sometimes you just need to talk to somebody. And the great thing about Teams is you have the ability to have audio calls and video calls directly from inside Teams in a couple of different ways. You can do it one-on-one in the same way that we do our chats. You can also do it as part of a team meeting, which we'll look at in another module. So let's start off with these buttons in the top right. You can see we have the video camera one that starts a video call. We have the old-fashioned telephone handset that starts an audio call. Then we have one that'll start a screen sharing session, and we'll look at that in just a minute. Then we also have the button we've looked at before for adding more people to our call. Let me go ahead and do a video call. So you can see I get a message that says I'm calling you. You get a message that says I'm calling you. And you can choose to answer, well, you can choose one of three things. You can either answer with a video call, which is the camera looking icon, answer with an audio call, which is the phone looking icon, or you can ignore me, which is the red hang up button. For this purpose, go ahead and choose the video call.
Okay.
So now we're in a video call. We can each see each other. We can hear each other. We've got the volume turned down because otherwise our studio microphones would go crazy. But it's just like you would expect on any kind of a video chat app. Now, it starts off in this full screen mode where all we really see is each other and a little bit of the menu at the top. But if I move my mouse cursor around, you can see part of my menus come back. I can see my normal left side menu. I can see some call control buttons down here in the bottom middle. And I also have some icons in the top right. Let's look at these first. So the first one is the full screen button. This will take away all of those menus and get us to where we're just having the video. I'll click that again to undo it. The next three open a pane on the right side. So the first one is our conversations pane. And if I open this, what I'm seeing is the same chat that you and I were just in. So you might wonder, well, if we're talking to each other, why do we need to chat? Because that's kind of just superfluous. But if this was a business meeting, if there are things that we're deciding, it might be nice to have a written record of the things we agreed on. So I might type Al to... So that gives you a way to keep a written record of your video and audio conversation.
So would this also be a great place to share files?
Yeah, exactly. So if there's a file you're both working on together, either maybe a contract you want to review or a diagram you want to review together or a document you want to edit together, you can do that from here. Notice down on the bottom I have all of our regular chat and conversation controls, including the ability to attach a document. So I can browse my OneDrive or I can upload from my computer, attach the document from here, and we could both work on it together. Let's look at the other options we have up here in the top though. So we have our Add Participants icon. Now what that'll do, by the way, when this pane is open, if I click on, so right now we're on the Conversation tab, if I click that again, notice it'll go away. While it's open, if I click one of the other tabs, it'll just switch to that. So if I click to the Add Participants, this is where I could add somebody else to our call. So if we wanted to make this a three-way call, maybe we want to add Aaron, I can do that. So I can type in his name. And there's Aaron. We'll go ahead and add him. Now, just like you did, he's getting a message on his screen that says that we're calling. He can choose to accept by video or accept by audio. And we can see he's accepted, and there he is on video. So, have you ever been on a call with somebody and they've got some loud background noise, maybe a dog barking, or they got the TV on or something like that?
I have.
If that was the case here, I could mute Aaron by choosing the three-dot menu next to him and choose to mute. I could also remove him if I wanted to. If I want to make sure I'm the only one talking, maybe there's a lot of us on the call and I can't tell where the background noise is coming from, notice I have a mute all button here as well.
Okay.
So we're going to go ahead and remove Aaron for now. Bye, Aaron. And let's look at our other options in the call. So we also have our settings wheel. This is mostly where we're choosing our audio and video devices. So I may have multiple speakers, in fact I do on this computer. I may have multiple microphones, and I do on this computer. I may have multiple cameras, and I do on this computer. So I could switch from my other webcam to the built-in webcam which is not as attractive on this computer, which is why I like to use the other webcam. But I would make all of these changes from here inside the setting wheel. And then the last icon is the information pane. And what this does is it tells us who's on the call, and it lets us place an audio, like an old-fashioned analog telephone call, to somebody else if we want to have them join. So, for example, if I wanted to include somebody and they're not part of our team, they're not part of our organization, but I know their telephone number, I can enter the telephone number here. So if I click on Call Me, so I'm getting a phone call.
Okay.
And now if I answer, then I'm part of the call from my cell phone as just what it calls an unknown person. The message we got tells us an unknown person had joined. Notice it still shows me on here. I can choose to disconnect that person. This is also really helpful if you are on a chat with somebody and you have to leave, so you can have it call your phone number before you leave, and that way you can keep the conversation going even while you're on the move.
Oh, wow, that's really cool.
And I can also do that from the Add Participants pane. I can type in a phone number instead of a name, and it'll dial that phone number and include them as part of our audio conference. This feature, the ability to add a phone number, is only available to certain Teams users. You have to have a phone system account attached to your Microsoft Teams. So for example, I have this. If you look at yours, go ahead and click on your Participants pane. Notice yours just says invite someone. Mine says invite someone or dial a number. So you can't use the phone number option, but I can. If it's something you need and you don't have it, talk to your IT staff about it.
Okay.
So that's our options in the top right. Let me go ahead and click on that to close mine. Let's look at our buttons across the middle. They're pretty much just what you'd expect, and as you mouse over each one, it tells you what it does. The first one turns off the video. Actually, it turns on and off the video. So my video is on. If I click on it, it turns the video off. Click again, it turns it back on. Same with the microphone. If I need to mute myself, I can mute it or unmute it. This middle one is sharing, so I can choose to share either a desktop or a particular application or a particular document.
Okay.
So right now I have one screen. I could just share my entire screen. This is great if you're doing some remote troubleshooting, or if you're both going to be working on a document together and it's not in Teams, or you're looking at a website together, something like that. If I'm a little worried that, for privacy's sake, I don't want to let this person see everything that's open on my desktop, then I could choose just one window. So I have a document open here for Microsoft Word. I could click on this. And now what you're seeing on your side is you're seeing my Microsoft Word document open from my desktop. Now, on my side, if I decide to stop sharing it, notice that I don't really have any controls here because I'm in Microsoft Word. It's the normal application. But where I see your video down in the bottom, notice that share icon now has an X in it. And if I click that, that stops the sharing on your side. If I go back to share, so I can share my desktop, I can share a particular window. There's also pretty tight integration with PowerPoint, so I can choose to share a particular PowerPoint presentation. Now these are not presentations that I have open on my computer right now, but these are presentations that I've looked at recently. So it's kind of giving me the most recent ones. If I had a presentation open, that would be here. It would also be in the Windows section. So I could choose one of these. And so it's going to open this for us on both sides. So while I have a PowerPoint presentation open, I can do a couple of different things. When my cursor is towards the bottom of the slide, I'll see my menu of controls, and I can use this to advance the slides. I can also choose to stop presenting, but I can also use my regular cursor keys just like I would in a PowerPoint presentation. So the space bar or enter advances, the left and right arrow keys move forward and back, and so on.
That's really cool.
It is nice, and then I'll click on Stop Presenting to stop presenting that one. Now let me go back to the Sharing tab and show you one more thing. If the PowerPoint presentation that I want is not here, I can also browse for it. So I'll choose Browse. I can look through my other teams and channels. I can upload from my computer or browse my OneDrive. Let me browse my teams and channels and go into Millennial Managers here maybe, and maybe this New Manager Training. And there's one there. And I can choose to share that. So really a great tool for using PowerPoint in a call, in an audio or video call, to help maybe pitch a sales idea, pitch a project idea, maybe to work on the project together to help refine what your pitch is going to be for another person. So to stop sharing again, I'll choose Stop Presenting. Let's look at the rest of our options. We have a 3-dot menu. The 3-dot menu has a couple of options. Blur My Background we're going to talk about in the next module. Keypad is something you would use if you had called into a service where you need to press 2 to leave a message or something like that. That's where you would use the keypad.
Okay.
We can also start recording, and recording is actually pretty neat. We're going to look at that in the next module also. And we can choose to turn off incoming video, which means that anybody else that joins the call won't have their video on by default. So helpful for a presentation type situation.
Sure.
And of course, when we're done with our call, we click on the red hang up button and it gets us out of the call. Now, if I had started the call and you and Aaron were both still on the call, I can hang up and the two of you are still going. It's very much a group call kind of a situation.
Okay. So is this something that I would also use to make a presentation to my team?
Well, you could, but this is in the chat section, so you'd have to add each person manually. There's a much better way to do it as a team meeting, and we'll look at that in the next module.
Great.